Okay, what are they doing here? By the park. This is the park. By the school, they have it all the way around the park. They put even these rocks here. What's going on here? So, okay, now, I think I hear a cow behind me. I don't know about all this. Anyway, we're here to get some gas, and then we're gonna go to the Dollar Tree so I can get my corn nuts. One of my latest cravings, I'm telling you. And see what goes from there. Okay, like I usually say, I believe that all humans are equal. Okay, we all have our strengths and our weaknesses, but the problem with it is that too many people these days believe that they're the ones who get to determine which strength to have is best, which weakness is the best. You know, if you're going to have a strength, you're going to have a weakness. I mean, you're going to have either one of them anyway. But some people think that they get to determine, like, if you have your strength is making money, whatever way. No, you don't get to say who it is, what it is for everybody. No, that's not your strength. You know what I mean? No. But too many people think that way. They think, oh, well, I think if anybody who is, knows how to make money, that's such a wonderful strength to have. Such a wonderful thing to have. And, oh, if they're smart, oh, we don't want to talk about those smart people. They're just irritating. They're just as... And what often motivates this kind of thing is jealousy. I'm going to try to go really fast to this point about people with education. There's so much it was around before I was even born, jealousy toward people. But I remember, I don't remember the name of it, but something about nerds or something, movies and such. And just people putting down people who are smart. Why do you think that, the people who do, they get to determine that that's not a good strength? That's not something good to have. It's to be smart. Why would you decide that? What kind of jealousy is working there? Seriously, what kind of jealousy is working there? Really? Nope. Is that what your brain's doing if you want that type? Well, if you're that type, you might not even listen. So, once you heard that money was not everything in this world, and I personally think a lot of people are these wannabes. Because when I see some people, they do anything to make some money. And you see these people who are glorifying them. And the same people who call themselves Christians are glorifying a person for making money. What's the problem there? Problems. The love of money is the root of all evil. And you don't glorify anybody, any human. No. That's left for God. That's not left for some human. Because they're making money? Wow. Is that what Christianity is about? Making money? And glorifying some person who knows how to? It just gives me so much when I hear people who claim to be Christian. And I see so much of that these days. Because I'm not stupid. I know why they do it. To make some more money. Really, to claim to be Christian, and they do everything other than that. I'm not a perfect Christian myself, so but I don't go around trying to make money off of it. I don't go around trying to make money off of anything. When I can work, and that's a job not online. But really, I just want to say that. Okay, so I've mentioned this before. I have a neighbor. I don't know, it's been a long time, but I have a neighbor who, when we had these other dogs before the ones we have now, and they were young, it was years ago, 10 maybe, I don't know how long ago, and I used to walk them, say probably not even 10 years ago. I used to walk them a lot, and on the sidewalk, you know, on a leash, each one of them on a leash. I learned not to do them both at the same time. At one point, I had to stop walking them at the same time. They're both black labs. One of them, I said, was a mix with bear, B-E-A-R. It was huge. And, but the other one was black lab. And I used to walk them, and they were very well trained. Adam had them before I was back here, and that's a long story in itself, but they were well trained on how to walk on a leash. The bear one, he did have squirrel moments, literally, and actually hurt me one time because of his squirrel moments. He was kind of like Marmaduke kind of thing. Anyway, I would walk them, and I would walk them on a leash. So that's in most places that I've heard of, any of them, you have to have your dogs on a leash. And that's for protection, especially for kids and yourself and others, you know, elderly people, anybody. Okay, it's for protection, even for your animals, so they don't get hurt and run over, you know, or, you know, something worse. Okay, so there's no problem with having your dogs on a leash. You know, who has a problem with having their dog on a leash? Really. The world is not for just that one person and their animals. It's for everybody. So you're in a public place, dogs need to be on the leash. Who's still fighting that war? Seriously. You know, I want to be protected. Well, to get to back to the neighbor, I walked my dogs on a leash. She kept telling me, and she told Adam the same thing. When we weren't together, you know, she'd say, well, y'all should take your dogs to this place. Y'all should take your dogs, and you should walk your dogs. You. And we were like, we're not going to do anything, she says. Who in the world does she think she is? You know, we walk our dogs where we legally can walk our dogs, and on leashes. Okay, it's our neighborhood too. If anybody comes around, we'd cross the street. Something like that. We would not let our dogs near other humans for any reason. And they were on leashes. So this woman was telling us what we're going to do with our dogs. No, we were not. Okay, but I figured it out at some point because I caught her more than once. It wasn't just a mistake. And what it was, when she would come out of her house with her dogs, especially one of them, she would go and walk that dog at the park. She still does. So it wasn't that long ago. But she would open the front door and let the dog run to the her car and get in without the leash on. Okay, she just didn't want her dog to have to put a leash on the dog to get the dog from the door to the car. So she wanted everybody else to go other places instead of walking their dog. And her dog has, I think, twice got out and come toward me. She had a whole pack of dogs at one time. And they did. Not just she, but they. I mean, a whole bunch of dogs. And they broke the front window and all of them got out. Luckily, one of them knew me from when he was a puppy. He came, I was taking a cake outside in the morning before going to work for somebody's birthday. And I had the door open so I could walk, you know, with the cake in my hands. And her dog just came, her little puppy came in, and her husband, which I didn't know, came in to get it. And my eyes are just wide. It's dark outside, and here's this man running in my house to get a puppy. And yeah, so luckily that dog, remember that puppy that became a dog, and it was Marmaduke, okay? And luckily it did, because the others came toward me, and that dog stopped them. He was kind of like the leader of the pack anyway, but he stopped them from chasing me, you know? So this is the person who should be doing that, you know? She should be having her dogs on leashes. She should be monitoring her dogs. I mean, still to this day, she does stuff like that. It actually might be another dog, a different dog. But come on now, people, you know, when people start telling you what to do with your own dog and you're doing everything legally, that's wrong. That's wrong. And I'm saying this for a reason. Okay, and I'm not even sure what it was, but I think it was video form. I think it was, yeah, it was video. I don't know where the video originates, where, you know, which platform. It wasn't on any of that. It was somewhere else, not on any of the big social media platforms. And basically, a guy didn't have his dog on a leash, and a woman, she was walking her dog, and she said, your dog needs to be on a leash. I think everybody has the right to tell somebody that, because I'm going to tell you, you might think your dog is so trained and is not going to bite anybody. You might be wrong. Just my dog that died just this year, its best buddy, its best friend, our other dog, is what caused it. What assisted in it, because the dog was weak, and we had another dog here, a female. We still have her. She was a rescue, and the dog that died had been in the vet, staying in the vet because it was not well. And when we brought it back home, it was still weak. And just as I told him, that dog's going to be protective. He's going to be jealous. The one that was at home, and he attacked his buddy. And the buddy didn't last long. It was bad. So why would we think that the two best buddy friends, you know, these dogs, one of them would attack the other one, and there was blood going everywhere, man. It was bad. Why would we think that? Why would we think that that dog was going to attack them? Because it was weak, and it was jealous. It didn't want, it was territorial, is what I called it, over the girl dog. You don't know what your dog's going to do in public. You don't know what your dog's thinking. You don't know everything about your dog. You might think you do. If you've ever seen a dog do something that you would not expect it to do, maybe you change your mind. And nobody should have to pay for it. Nobody's kid should have to get bitten by a dog and mar their faces. Nobody's grandmother, grandfather, whomever, nobody should have to pay the price because you're lazy. You don't want to have to go by the rule. Dogs, there's a rule. There's reasons there are rules. The reason there are laws. It's not for you to decide if they're right or wrong. And so you don't have to abide by them. You do. A police officer standing right there, ticket. I don't know how that works. I'm not an expert on it. But I would think that it's the police officer's going to give you a ticket. I don't know. Knowing me, I got it totally wrong. Maybe it's a game warden or something. I don't even know what game warden. I know that if you're out there fishing without a license, here in Texas, or it might be changed, everything changes so fast. They will give you a ticket. It happened to me. My license had expired, and I didn't know that. That was many years ago. So I wasn't out fishing on purpose, but it expired, or either I didn't have it with me, something. But anyway, and it just bothered me for somebody. I didn't finish that, but the video thing was about, you know, that the guy was complaining about the woman saying my dog needs to be on a leash, and they were calling her a Karen. Come on, people, get real. Grow up. You know, actually, I don't give anybody any advice or anything, but seriously, is it all really about breaking the rules these days? Just whatever sounds good. Oh, Karen sounds good. Karen was not about that in the first place. But they're going to be racist, sexist, and ageist, man. Racism is going to be a white woman. Chances are. Sexist is going to be a woman. And ageist, middle-aged. God. And what they don't realize, they're setting themselves up for future generations to come, have absolutely total chaos, no order, no discipline in anything. You go to a store, to a restaurant, they can steal stuff from you because they want to. Oh, we don't have any law and order here. You go into a store, oh, we're going to take your credit card and use it somewhere else. And this restaurant thing, strike the one I gave, but you know, you go to a restaurant and they put an extra tip on there because, you talk to the manager, you're a Karen, and that's a terrible thing to be. And how stupid. Seriously, how stupid is it of people to talk about this Karen stuff? It's my opinion. I haven't seen everything, so there might be some really bright stuff out there. Everything I've seen so far, first of all, is fake. Pretty much. I mean, it's obvious. The woman isn't even a middle-aged woman. I mean, it's so pathetic. They find somebody, they probably pay them a few bucks, or just they want to be on social media. You don't have to pay them anything. And she puts on a wig or puts, sunglasses or something like that. Tries to hack it, and use a different voice. So pathetic. I am serious. It's just so pathetic what people will do. Oh my goodness. Anyway, enough. Hey everybody, this is Grace. So I wanted to do a quick one. Hopefully I can do it quickly. But, I have this rare health condition, and I've had it since I was a child. I'm 62 years old. But it wasn't diagnosed until I was 37 or, I guess around 37. And then in a hospital, I could be wrong here, but anyway, I got a headache all of a sudden. But anyway, it was a long time ago. And now this, it was 25 years ago on a different way. It was diagnosed 25 years ago in the year 2000. And that was by CT. And anyway, the current doctor I have, because nobody's minding this store, the current one I have, he seems nice so far. And he told me that because my records have gone off, of their records, and they can't get any records because it's over 25 years ago. I mean, it was 25 years ago. And he was going to run all these tests. Oh man, they have to run tests. Everybody in that, they have to run tests. They run tests, and you got to come back. They charge, I don't pay anything, really. $5 copay, yeah. And even on other stuff, hardly anything. I have really good insurance. So then but you got to come back. And we need to run one more test. If that's okay with you, we'll run one more test. And they get more and more and more for them. They make more and more money each time. Trust me on this. And some people say, no, that's not how it works. It does. And it just keeps going. More and more and more tests, more and more time. Oh, they're so busy that the next available is May. The next available is until December. And on and on and on. You're already established, but hey, well, we oh my gosh, it just can carry on and on forever. So this guy, he ran 7, I thought it was 6, but it was 7 blood tests. And through the portal, I'll get the results. Well, I don't know how to read the results. I know how to read them, I don't know what it means. I have to look each one of them up, and I'm still not a doctor, so that's not my job. And I could be wrong. Yeah, could be wrong. So he wanted to run another test. Finally, I said, look, I sent him a message through the portal saying, you know, is that going to be, and I'm going to still have it, but I asked him, is it dangerous? Is it possibly? And he didn't answer. I said, and with those 7 tests you've already done, you don't have any diagnoses or diagnoses. Put that through the portal. So it was written. So everybody who, as I learned, everybody in that group, no matter what their specialty or just regular doctor, they can see that. So he came back, and of course, I had to do video meeting, because they gotta get that money, man. They gotta make that money. Another visit. I used to do medical billing before 2000. Well, I'd say before 2000. It was before then even. I think the last time I did it was 2012. And no, you didn't bill for follow-up visits. But they do now. Oh, man. And someone I know that works there is a guru, all that, works in that field, medical billing. She said they've been getting away with it since 2020. Yeah. Charging for follow-up visits. So, man, there's got to be more and more and more and more follow-up visits. So we're going to do this many tests this time. Then we have her come back for the follow-up visit, charge for that. Then we have her, during that we said we're going to do one more test. We have her go do that test, and we, you know, they charge, of course, for the test. And then we're going to do the follow-up. We charge for the follow-up. Then we have her, you know, then we have her come back for yet another test. 2 years has gone by, but hey, oh, there's another year, so we need to run other tests all over again. This is so ridiculous, man. So ridiculous. But anyway, that guy, the latest one, he said, I said, well, what do you think? Or I don't remember. I think he said, yeah, I think that you do have it, but we want to run this one more test. Oh my God. I'm so sick. I think that I do seriously wonder, this big old group, I mean, oh my goodness, what? But I do believe that they have a quota system going on. They have to run a certain amount of tests, you know, or they get some kind of, you know, pat on the back from the other people in the group, or there's some kind of reward for them for running all these tests. Oh, we don't do them all at once. Don't do them all that first time. You want to make all that money on all those follow-ups. And you want to make more, all that, you know, you're going to run a lot of them. So you want to get all that money back. And when the way it is, some people say, oh, that's not how it works. No, it does work that way. Yeah. But anyway, he said, yeah, I think you have this rare health condition. Hello? I've only had it since I was a child. You see, this is how ridiculous this stuff is. I'm so sick of things that being so ridiculous. You know, how people are being used. And this is the first time, this group, this is the first time, and this is supposed to be the best one in Texas. Okay, this is the first time in my life, I'm 62, in my life, have I had so many, had any doctor's offices call me to reschedule because the doctor is going to be this, or the nurse or the whatever is the provider that time isn't going to be there, and they need to reschedule. This year alone, it's been about 10 times. I don't remember the last 2 years, but my first introduction to this was that rescheduled. And nobody had called me. It was my first time. I didn't know there was a portal, because it was my first appointment with that whole group at all. And when I say group, I don't know what you call it. It's all these different doctors and all this, all combined and everything, you know, all this whole big old system. in their own insurance, and it just goes on and on. Okay, it's huge. But I'm not a thing, a blob sitting there, but holding an insurance card with dollar signs dangling off of it. But that's how it feels. I mean, I don't have any guarantee that wouldn't be in a one that's not the best. And I had heard somewhere it says, Texas has great doctors, but the problem is they put everything off for so long that people die before they get the correct. Yeah, this is why. In my experience, I mean, come on, I don't want to die because they're going to have more tests. We're going to make more tests. Oh, we want to do these tests too. You know, we got to do one, and we do some right now, just a blood test. Next time you come back, it's going to be something bigger. Next time after that, it's going to be something even bigger. Let's see, you had 2 CTs. You had one in March. You had one in April. Well, I want my own CT. I want to have my own. So you need to go all the way back and do the CT. And it's going to have the contrast or whatever, which could cause, minimal, could cause damage. Wasting my time. I mean, it's just something else. I just, like I said, I have no guarantee it wouldn't be the same with anything else. I've had all these tests, but nope, next year's going to come up, got to watch it. Next year, they're not even wanting to take one that was done in April, in March and April, 2 different ones. And what the heck? And they started doing this back then. It's leading. Let's maybe take a little more test. Oh, we got to bring it back. That was some other field. It's not the one I'm talking about now. It's just unbelievable. Anyway, wrapping this up. Talk to you on another video. Okay, hey everybody. This is Grace, and I'm sitting out here trying to get my mount to work right. It keeps falling, keeps breaking, not breaking, but separating. So I have to keep fixing it for some reason. But anyway, I was thinking about this. I've been watching reruns. I've been watching stuff from apps, series that or from many years ago, whenever, whatever I'm interested in at the time, because I never was much on watching TV. Really was not. I've said this before. I was more into computers. I had my first one in 1982. So, back whenever it was not cool to have a computer, a home computer. No, you were thought as one of those dirty 4-letter words, what they felt like was dirty 4-letter word. Geek. Oh, if you had one, oh, you were bad person. Yeah. So anyway, I was more into that, and I wasn't into watching TV. And since I'd say maybe around 2020, I'm not sure, I've been more interested in watching, because I was one that had to stay at home during 2020 and much of 2022, much of 2021. And I'm leaving out why. You can figure it out yourself. But yeah, and I started watching, here and there, and sometimes since the last couple of years, again, I think I had a break at the end of 2021, and then 2022, but then 2023, yeah, started having health problems. And I mean, it wasn't much of a break, but anyway, so I started watching more TV, from these apps and whatever they're going to call them, live stream or whatever. I mean, you see what you have today, it could be 10 years from now. Even that terminology is over with, gone. The the terminology, what they call it, is going to be no more. And people are going to laugh at you if you call it something else. And it probably might not even exist anymore. Not probably, but there's a chance. Stuff changes so much, especially in technology. It's like I've consistently had a cell phone for I don't know how many years, decades, decades, and it's about every 2.5 years, 2.5 years, they are no longer, they're obsolete, pretty much. I mean, yeah, it's just they're too old. They used to be. I don't know about now. Who knows? Okay, I'm taking a long route here talking about this. But so I'm watching these, these series, okay, that some of them used to be on TV. I don't know where all of them. But, I'm watching one of them. Adam says he remembers me watching back years ago. That would be decades. It was Touched by an Angel. Isn't that it? Touched by an Angel. And he says he remembers me watching it. I remember I saw, one or two or something like that, or, not very many. I've never been one to like, oh, the show's coming on this week, I'm going to watch it, I have to be there. Never really. I mean, I knew that's what people did. And there was a time, back when it was, when I was young, it was, Happy Days, Laverne and Shirley. They had 4 good shows during prime time. Oh, what were the other 2? I don't remember, but I would be there. I think they were on Thursday, and I would be there and I'd watch those. And that was probably the only time in my life. But anyway, this Touched by an Angel show, I like it. I'm on season 2. And I think I'm around, well, I noticed in season 2 that the numbers of the episodes are all mixed up at some point. I think it's because they put in the Christmas ones, and they had 2 of them. What was that? Did you hear that? I'm sitting out here. It sounded like somebody tapped my window on my SUV. Oh well, I don't know what that was. But anyway, no idea what that was. Maybe something fell out of a tree, like a nut or something, or whatever. But anyway, I was watching an episode today. This is taking a long time to get to this point, and in part of it, I think I was a little distracted at some point, and so I'm not sure exactly what she said. The character Monica, I'm horrible with names, but I think her name is Monica, the main angel, or one of. And she said something. She was arrested for possession, but it wasn't. It was a big mistake, and all this kind of stuff. And she was in trial, and she said something, because she's an angel. And people don't want to believe, in angels and stuff like this. And they think somebody's crazy if they think they've been talking to an angel, or that they're an angel. Anyway, she made a comment to the lawyer, I think it was. Like I said, I was distracted, and I don't know exactly what, so I'm just going to kind of paraphrase, or maybe even wind up adding a little to it. But the thing was, I think what she said was something like, when people have problems, some kind of bad problem, they pray to God. And this is thought of as normal. They can tell, I'm adding this part. They do. They can tell other people that they pray to God. They actually say some prayers. And people don't tend to think the person is crazy for praying. If there's some really bad, stuff going on. There are people who don't believe in it, but they don't think the person is crazy. And that was the point. She said, but when somebody says they're an angel, I think she said they're an angel, or they've talked to an angel, or whatever, people think they're crazy. And she said, why is that? You see the difference. You can pray to God as long as you're praying, but then if you've actually spoken to an angel, you're crazy. You're not crazy if you talk to God. You are crazy if you spoke to an angel. Yeah, you know, I can see that that's, yeah, I mean, really, you think about it. Seriously, how, you know, basically some of it's cultural, and who decides what makes you crazy. You know, you can pray to God, but you can't speak to God. You know, God can't speak to you. You know, or if you say God spoke to you, you're crazy. Angel spoke to you, you're crazy. I don't know. Okay, now, as for me, I was raised Christian, and I still am Christian. I am a Christian Scientist. Okay, but I have to say, when it comes to prayer, I've never prayed much. Really. I mean, praying is not something that I ever have done on a regular basis that I recall. And in some ways, I mean, I don't want to be blasphemous or anything, but some ways how I hear people pray or have heard of people praying, it seems so selfish. But, you know, you read parts of the Bible and it says, you know, God hears your prayers, listens to your prayers, loves hearing your prayers, this kind of stuff. So you see, on this level, I'm like, I don't know. I mean, and some other side, you hear people say, you know, whatever you're praying for is supposed to be to help in the long run, help out God. Okay, that you're going to be doing something, and that whatever you're praying for, that's going to be helping God. So, you know, see, so much of it gets so different people see it different ways and all that. But anyway, so I'm not much on praying, you know, I really am not. So now, if I were to have seen an angel, would I have said something to anybody about it? Well, I'll tell you this. I know that, I mean, I know what people think of as, you know, if you've seen something like that, you're crazy. You know, you know, people want to say you're crazy, and I'm probably one of them too. If somebody told me that they went up into a UFO and were captured by aliens or something, I probably would say it's a little bit on the crazy side. Okay, not a little bit, maybe even a lot. But I was trained that way. I was raised that way, and then trained that way to believe in that way about, you know, UFOs. So, I think I've only mentioned this once or twice all these years. 11, I've been doing videos. But when I was, how old was I? I think I was in my 20s. I lived in Florida for a short while, Adam and I, and we lived in a it was a house. It had, you know, it was a house with swimming pool and all this. I remember it had big lemon tree and big lemons, wonderful tasting lemons. Adam and I were joking just now, just a little while ago, when I asked him about some of this. You know, we were laughing about some of it because we don't remember everything. We remember the bedroom and then outside carport, but we don't. He didn't remember that it had a swimming pool, and we don't remember the kitchen or the bathroom. And what we did was we rented half of the house. Neither one of us could remember the kitchen or the bathroom. And we know we didn't go to the other side of the house to use theirs. It was like divided. And so we can't remember some of the stuff that we just don't remember. We were thinking about that. So, but I'm saying this because of what I'm saying is, you know, it was so close. I mean, it was the same one house, but just divided. And so it was, you know, any noise, you know, if, you know, the other side could probably hear, like if you got into an argument. And that was what had happened, is Adam and I got in an argument, and I got in my, whatever I was driving at the time, probably a car, and left. Okay, like I said, you know, I was like in my 20s, and I think so. really young. And so I left and, was driving down the road and just getting some, chilling, chilling out, just, calming down, that kind of thing. And I was driving, it was daytime, and and something was in the sky, and I looked at it, and a lot of people on the road. This was Fort Lauderdale, Florida. A lot of people were driving, down the road, going home, whatever they were doing, going wherever. And all of us just stopped and got out of our cars, when we were driving. It was mainly cars back then. And we're looking up at this thing in the sky. And it was just, it was not a blimp at all. It was not a blimp. But it was just like you would think back in those days at least, a UFO would be, like a circle and the glass windows around that circle. It was saucer shaped, and then underneath on the bottom it had glass windows that went around it too, and we could see like beings in there. And I mean, just the whole road stopped. This was let me think. That was probably, it was probably in the 1980s. I don't know what year that would have been, but I was in my 20s. So anyway, I mean, everybody on the road didn't know anybody. Okay, I didn't know any of them, but everybody's standing outside. Traffic has stopped. People are looking up in the sky and seeing this thing, which was not a blimp, and seeing the same, I would imagine the same thing. I got, there was a way to get out of traffic. I got out of traffic, went home, got Adam. Adam got in the car with me. We went back down there and saw it. And look, both of us. Adam and I are two very different people. I would say that neither one of us believes in UFOs. But, what UFO means, though. Yeah, unidentified flying object. So whatever that was, we still didn't believe that it was come from a different planet or anything like that. We just didn't know what it was. Where it was, who made it, why we made it. We both say, maybe it's a new kind of blimp or something. The blimps were popular back then. It could have been anything. It could have been anything. Maybe yep, there we go. Okay, it could have been, some kind of a hot air balloon or something. It didn't look like a hot air balloon. How are they going to get people in a hot air balloon around in a circle? Not like your hot air balloons. No, it was glass, and it did not look like a balloon, a hot air balloon. So, was it made out of that kind of material? But it was weird. Now, like I just let you know, I don't really believe in UFOs. There was some kind of something. We never heard anything about it, by the way. Never heard anything about it, not on the news, nothing. Okay, and I tried to look it up one year. I'd say when I made the video about it one time before at least, I tried looking it up and nothing, so anyway, but there was something. But I just don't believe in, like, from another planet. To me, that's quite a, conspiracy theory. Because have you ever noticed that anytime anybody tries to take a picture of a UFO, they're always blurred? The same thing as the Loch Ness Monster or anything like that. They're always blurry. Yeah, or Sasquatch. I might even be saying these wrong. Sasquatch. What is it? All of that. You never see them clear. It's always blurred. So, but anyway, no, who knows what that was that year? Seriously, it could have been anything. It could have been technology we don't know about, because we don't know what every country has. I'd like to think that we do, or do we? I don't know. Not in military or any of that stuff. So, Anyway, I'm going to wrap this up. Talk to you in another video. Bye. Okay, hey everybody. This is Grace, and today I have on my mind is how many of us have known a person, maybe still know the person, and they just don't, well, some would say they don't keep their promises, but maybe it's just whenever they, is it really a promise, or is it just, like not like they're telling it like, oh, I promise you I will do this. It's just something they say, okay, we can do this, let's do this. I don't know how to say the difference between it, but it's not as strong as a promise. Maybe just put it that way. But they never keep them. They never do. It's very rare that they actually follow through. They say that, they're going to do this or that, but nope, it comes around time to do that. If they're interested in something else, or they just don't feel like doing anything, they want to sit around the house and watch TV or something, they're not going to do it. At a job, if they have something else that they want to work on today, and you're supposed to meet with them that day to work on, some project, but they decided, no, not today. At the last minute. They just don't follow through. Okay, and also this can be in a relationship, like in a little bit of a different way. Say, all of you say, oh, we're gonna go, the two of you. Let's not say all of you. Let's say the two of you. You and your significant other, whether it's your husband, your wife, your whatever. You decide that, okay, on say someday, Friday, you're going to go to have lunch at a, nice restaurant for the two of you. And when Friday comes around, either they don't do it, they find something else, or they might even go and take themselves out to eat. But how about if they do this? They tell you where you and them, the two of you, where we're going. They make that decision, and it's not what you want. It wasn't what you had, thought of, and that there's no compromise, because if not, they'll throw a temper tantrum, an adult temper tantrum. They have to have it their way. But if you look at this kind of behavior, when you really look at it, that's all that it is. They're having it their way, whatever way that is. Now, some of them think that these people are people who sit around and plot and plan and all that to make sure that they do this to you, so it takes away from your this or your that. And sure, there could be people who do that. There really could be people who want to let you know in their own way that they run the show. It's their way or the highway. It's all about them. But then there's some people like that are narcissistic. It really has nothing to do with you. They're not plotting and planning. They're just doing what they want to do at whatever time they're going to do it. And sometimes to you, you're a burden. They're just going to take you along for the ride. If you get upset and you say anything, well, then we're not going to do anything. Because it's whatever in their mind, whatever they want to do at whatever time. Period. Okay, they're not plotting and planning. That's how they are. It's not a good thing. And some people would say, you have to think about, is this what you really want for the rest of your life? To be around someone who is going to have everything the way they want it, on their schedule. And you have to just pencil in everything. You cannot get up your hopes up. You can't make a decision on what it's going to be, when it's going to be, how it's going to be in any way yourself. There's no compromise. They're going to have it their way, period. Okay? Even though you might get them to agree that, you're going to go where you want to go. when it gets that day, if they don't want that, they don't feel like eating that, or they don't feel like doing that, or they don't feel like, period. It's going to be about them. Period. Okay? This is how some people are, really. Anyway, how many of you know this? How many of you have experienced this type? Okay, hey everybody, this is Grace. Now, how many of us have had to deal with this at some point in our lives? When you're young, let's say when you're a child, you run across other kids who, I don't really talk much about kids, but they do this thing of, pushing your buttons. They do this thing of taunting and teasing, and they find out what it is that you don't like, what is your pet peeve, or what is something that's going to irritate you, and they use that repeatedly. They never change their ways, on this. I mean, what they're going to taunt you on. They just keep doing anything that they find out. They might change it to another one, but they're going to continue to do this, taunt and tease you. And as long as especially if you live in a smaller town or in a district, and they never move, you never move, they're going to just keep doing through every grade. And then even in high school, they're still doing it. And if you know them outside of high school, past high school, they're still doing it. They never change. You might meet them at something, maybe a class reunion 40 years down the road, whatever. And they're still going to do it to you. Because they don't change. They get older, but they don't really change. They have to do this. It is part in their mind. It is funny. It is funny to them. And let me tell you, you might think that some people, they've been told or whatever, that they actually think about that and they actually realize that it's not funny. You can tell them, anybody can tell them, their parents or the principal, whomever, when they're young, punish them for it. And say, you don't tease people like that. You don't bully people like that. But they don't get it. They don't see that this is wrong. They think it's funny, as in humorous. They cannot see past that. They think that other people who don't think it's funny, and including the person they're doing it to, they just don't have whatever they decide that person just doesn't have, like a sense of humor. No, it's not funny. They will never see it. Chances are, maybe not. Maybe there's some point in life, something that happens to them, they finally see the light. But how many of us have gone years and go back, and run across a person, that was like this decades later, and they're still the same. They haven't changed. And it's just still the same old, what it was when you were young, what it was when you were kids. The same thing from them, always. Leave a comment below if you have. Okay, hey everybody, this is Grace. It is 8:10 p.m. on August 15th, 2025. In this video, I'm going to talk about something good. I hope it will be good. And, there are a lot of things, I make videos. Venting quite often, pressure release valve. My way of journaling is to make videos and vent it out, things I see. And, sometimes of course, there's good things going on in my life, okay? But I don't always make videos about them. Or, because this is what I use to journal, to vent. All the negative stuff. I don't believe in bottling up stuff inside. So anyway, this thing, there's a mix with it. A mixture of what it's going to be and the questioning it. And the good, I mean, some people say, you're saying this is a good thing? It is, to me. And to get to it. And it's not that big of a deal, but to some people it wouldn't be. But next week, I think, next week I see a new physical therapist. And I had to quit physical therapy. I chose to quit it when I went to the hospital. When was it? March, and I had heart failure. They said it was just a warning, the cardiologist, and I decided, I couldn't get out of any, I had to follow up with another cardiologist. Couldn't get anybody. I'm just going to fast forward it to August now. Haven't been able to get any of them to tell me how much can I do. And so apparently it's up to the physical therapist. Why didn't you tell me that months ago? Like back in March. It's August. Seriously. This is unbelievable what I've been through. That's the bad stuff. The good stuff is, I'm ready for physical therapy, because all the physical therapy that I'd already done, it seems like it's just gone because I haven't been able to continue and not hurt myself because I couldn't get anything out of them. It was some of this BS double talk they usually do. Like this one, he said, well, I understand that the way I see it is that my patients, they know their bodies more than I, and they know how much exercise and work they should do. Dude, we're not stupid. We know what that is. Period. Come on. That is like one of the oldest ones in the book. I'm serious. But, no. So anyway, I'm going to see this physical therapist next week. She's new to me. I have no idea about her at all. Who she is and all that. And even though it's the same place that I went to before, I don't know. I didn't know any of their names. The other one's there. And I'm guessing I probably will run across the one that I had. And she wasn't bad, but something about her ways just got to me. Especially because she talked a lot about money. So when people start talking about money, and she'd book somebody else at the same time, so she'd make more money, I'm guessing. So no, that's just not right to me at all. So anyway, Adam came outside. But anyway, what was I talking about? I have a little bit of a headache, but anyway, I go and do a testing then one day, and then I go the next day to I had to do some blood tests and then some other kind of tests. I think they're all blood tests. But then the next day, that's for 2 different doctors. Then I see the physical therapist the next day, and hopefully I start later on this coming week and actually doing the physical therapy. Because I'm serious, it's hard for me to stand up and to stay. When I stand up, I quite often feel not pain, not ache, but a little bit like I don't know what to call it. It's like I can't move right then. I have to wait until my body decides, okay, it's okay to be standing up. And I am not that old. I think it really is because of this health condition. And that's one of the tests I'm taking tomorrow. Not tomorrow, that day that I do the blood work is a test for that. And they should be able to give me a pill this late. It's a rare health condition. And this late, and I kind of figured this when I was young, that I was going to be at this age before they finally give me something or they finally develop something that then they can give it to me that will help this whole rare health condition. And it seems like that's happening. So it's another good thing. But also because of it causes some muscle atrophy And I have to go through the physical therapy to do all that. So all this kind of stuff. And I really want to stay on this. I just saw a light. Stay on this side, you know, on this kind of thing. Focus on this. And these other ones, no thank you. I'm so tired of we're gonna run more tests, more tests, more tests, more tests. It gets to be sickening. It's like, you know what's gonna come out of their mouth. Well, we're gonna run more tests. No, you're just making money for yourself and the group or whatever. And there is a little funny. Today, Adam, he went and saw his own doctor. Not at all the same people. Not even connected in the same group or whatever. And when I saw mine, which I've switched from because I'd ask, is this test medically necessary right now? Oh boy, shame on me. I'm not just minding them, you know. And I asked him, it's a yes or no, it requires a yes or no answer. It's a closed question, yes or no. Is it medically necessary right now? I'd recommend it. And I asked later on in that meeting, in that visit, doctor visit, I'd recommend it, and that smirk on his face, like as if they invented this stuff, you know. And Adam told me that he saw his doctor today, and he said, well, is it really medically necessary right now? He heard from me. He got it from me. And he said that his doctor said, you got it. I'd recommend it. I said, did you have a hard, later on I was, ask him, I said, did you have a hard time keeping yourself from laughing? Because really, like they think they invented this stuff. I'd recommend it. No, I want you to say yes or no. And if it's a yes, it's medically necessary, I want information on why. You know? But no, you're just supposed to mind them. So anyway, I'd rather, unless I have to make up my own mind. And my own mind is to go with this other thing, that this rare health condition, all of that, even though it's more tests that they want. I have to do another test. But by the way, the test that I have to do, one is with that doctor and the other one is with the other doctor. Seriously, it's always about tests. Nothing new. But see, where I used to go before this, it was different. That's why, it was, because back then I didn't have health insurance. And you go to the doctor and they don't want to run a bunch of tests because you don't have the money to run a bunch of tests. And so they don't even recommend it. You know? They run tests there, but they're also inexpensive, and they do them there. It's not this buku-doodles of money. Well, guess what? Mine do it there too, but no, it's going to be buku-doodles of money. What a rip-off all this stuff is. Anyway, I'm going to wrap this up. Talk to you on another video. Bye. Okay, hey everybody, this is Grace. Here's a question for you. When you were young and you were growing up, did your family live in one house, or maybe, not at some point when you were still really young, you moved into, say, a neighborhood, a certain neighborhood, and then doing that, did you grew up there? Let's say 20 years you lived there, and maybe a little less, whatever, but you got to know. Say you lived on a street, or you lived in an apartment, or condos, or townhomes, and you pretty much got to know everybody who at least was on your side, or your road, or your whatever, or your area of that. And you got to know who lives at which house, the next door neighbors, you got to know them. And when you were a kid, you played with other kids in the neighborhood, so you got to know who lives where and what. And sometimes your parents were, friends with other people or something like that. Okay, the reason I'm asking, because I sit out here and I make videos sometimes right here I used to go down to the park, and sometimes I'd make them when I'm driving. You know, I've been doing this for 11 years. But sometimes I would go to the park, but park got to where people were driving crazy past there. I mean, I was afraid they're going to hit me. It hit my car, my SUV, with theirs. It got that bad, and I was like, it's just too crazy. And driving really fast through a neighborhood at a park for kids, okay? Come on. Insanity. But anyway, so I do more out here, and I notice the cars go by, and I don't know who it is. I mean, I know, I think I wouldn't recognize probably only one house I would recognize most of them that live there or have lived there. I would say I don't even know if one of them lived there. Seriously, it's just like that. These are houses out here, and I mean, I wouldn't recognize them. If I would recognize more of their what they drive, like the person across the street, because of the color of one of their cars. I mean, it's a little SUV, more like it, and that I'd recognize, but them no. And some of them, my neighbors, they park in their garage, and they never come outside. You know, like, and I'm never hardly ever outside in my front yard doing anything at all. And we have lawn, you know, people who come and do the lawn, and and plus bugs. I can't handle that. You know, those little bitty bugs that bite you when you work in your garden. No thank you. Didn't used to be that bad, but now, yeah. Anyway, or maybe it's not that bad anymore. I don't know. So stop doing it. But you know, I don't get to see my neighbors because they park in a garage. You don't ever see them. They get into their auto from the garage and all this, out of it from inside their garage. So, you know. But I think it's kind of odd. It really is. You know, like I'm sitting here and I see people drive by and I don't know who they are. It's my own neighborhood. Don't even know. When I was a child, we knew everybody, you know, on our street, and some of those on the other street next to it, perpendicular to it, that kind of thing. Or the street over from that. See what I'm saying? But it just seems like maybe it was a small town thing, smallish. It was kind of, you know, between town and city, but or, you know, yeah, it's, yeah, very different than living in a big city, maybe. Anyway, wrapping it up. Talk to you on another video. Bye.